I'm here in London's Wigmore Hall, and with me is trumpeter Matilda Lloyd, who's just come off stage after an absolutely fabulous performance of some opera arias from her new album, Casta Diva. Matilda, hi, it's wonderful to be here talking to you.
Thank you so much for coming.
So, many, many years ago, I remember I was at an orchestra rehearsal, and we were all putting our instruments away, and there's a trumpeter playing a whole load of stuff, like warming down, playing, I don't know, orchestra electrics. Is that normal? Would you warm down after a gig?
I do warm down most of the time. I haven't yet today, but even after a practice session, it's really good to make sure that your lips aren't feeling really tired and they get quite tight. They feel very sort of stretched and tight if you've been practicing a lot or performing a lot. So I actually do recommend even just 5 minutes of some low notes, long tones, and maybe some pedal notes as well. That's a really, really useful exercise just for relaxing all the muscles in your face.
I've been going all the time thinking he was just being a show-off, so I'll have to find out who he was and apologise. At the other end of it, when you're going to go on beforehand, you know, people have all kinds of warm-ups and rituals and things in advance. Do you have any of those that you're okay to tell us about? Because obviously some of them are often quite personal.
Yeah, of course. I mean, on a concert day, I would always do a proper warm-up at the beginning of the day, because we normally have a rehearsal. And then before the concert, I actually don't do very much in the way of playing, literally just sort of re-warming up the lips. They tend to stay quite warm between the rehearsal and the concert, because it's normally only a matter of a couple of hours. And then I do quite a lot of, I like to walk around a lot and sort of jump around backstage to kind of get the adrenaline flowing, and then I try and be as calm as possible. I do a little bit of calm breathing, and I say a few sort of affirmations as well, just to kind of get my head in the game and make sure I'm in the right frame of mind before I walk on stage.
So how much, like when you say warming up, is that like 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour?
It really depends. On a concert day, I probably would do a slightly shorter warm-up than normal. Maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. But if I'm just practicing at home, I tend to do a much longer warm-up routine that has sort of fundamental technical exercises in it as well. So that can last anywhere up to an hour, hour and 15. Do a few sort of technical etudes and things as well, which is good fun.
So when you're performing this programme, or indeed when you were recording it, is there any piece where, when it's coming up, you think, oh yeah, really looking forward to this one, like above all?
Yeah, I think my favourite track on the disc is the one called A quel giorno ognoramento by Rossini, and it's actually the last track that we added. I suddenly thought about 2 months before the recording sessions to include a piece from this opera, Semiramide, because it turns 200 this year. It has its 200th birthday in 2023. So I really wanted to include a piece from that opera, and I came across this aria through lots and lots of listening, and I just loved that it had everything in it, and it has the really fun section in the middle with the acceleranto with the horns, and they start going off, and you can kind of hear that Rossini is sort of a precursor to William Tell. So I just think it's a really lovely aria, and it has everything in it.
He really does his thing, doesn't he? When he sort of gets going, that kind of, sort of building up.
Really fun and sort of very joyful and playful,
So these were all, well, almost all, originally vocal arias, right? They've been recorded by all kinds of people and all the golden age singers, your Maria Callas, your Joan Sutherland.
Yeah.
Do you, draw on those performances when you're preparing them to play on the trumpet?
Absolutely, I mean, I listened to as many different versions of each aria as I could find, and so I kind of formed a sort of general feeling of the style, the idiomatic kind of phrasing, and those sort of extra melismas that they would add and sort of decorate the part. Sometimes you sing the same thing twice if there's 2 verses, for example, and they would always have embellished it and made it much more ornamental the second time, and the cadenzas and all of those. And then I also paid quite a lot of attention to the words, firstly translating them so that I could understand the meaning of the words and what was going on. And, you know, for example, Juliet professing her love to Romeo, that's quite a key part behind the emotions and the expressions of the piece. And I also looked at the words, in particular, words that started or ended with either sort of soft consonants or hard consonants in terms of the tonguing and how that could match. So there's quite a lot of sospir, sort of sighing and things like that, which I would play quite differently from something that maybe starts with a D or a P or is a bit more sort of has that kind of attack at the front
it's
of
really,
it.
really like vocal playing then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was definitely informed and, you know, sort of inspired by all of those things, but then of course layered on top of that are the capabilities of the trumpet. And there are some things, for example, that the trumpet can do like some even longer phrases and all the kind of technical fireworks and the variations. So it's nice to sort of bring the two together.
The one that you ended with today was the Rossini variations, for which you switched to the flugelhorn.
Yes.
Which I absolutely love the flugelhorn. What's it like from a lit perspective? Like, you've done the whole concert on a trumpet or some trumpets, and then you switch to the sort of more mellow and that kind of sound. Does that feel really weird, or is it like maybe slightly a relief at the end of the concert?
Yeah, it feels nice because the mouthpiece is a lot deeper, so you can just sort of throw your air through the instrument, and it feels really, really lovely. And it was definitely strategically placed at the end of the concert because it almost is kind of like a relief for the lips, having played, particularly just before that we did the 2 arias on the E flat trumpet, so they get quite tight during that, so they can relax quite a lot more on the flugelhorn, and also you can just sort of really relax and enjoy the lovely warm sound.
Yeah. There's a piece I came across a little while ago by no, it wasn't by him, it was recorded by him, Hakan Hardenberger. I think you studied with him.
Yes,
and it's the Mark Anthony Turnage piece, which I was really struck.
Yes. Starts
on the trumpet, middle sections on the flugel, final sections on the piccolo, I think.
Yeah.
That's not normal, right?
It's quite
thing.
Unusual to have to change trumpets mid-piece. It's quite, especially in performance, it's quite challenging, especially with that you've got 3 different mouthpieces and the instrument's been sat there on stage, so it's cold, so it's maybe slightly out of tune, and there's all these sorts of things that you have to kind of adapt for. But yes, so on the disc we've got 4 different trumpets, so that's really nice to show right from the E flat, the B flat, the C, and then the flugelhorn as well.
Matilda, thank you once again for taking the time to talk to me about some of these pieces. The performances were amazing, the recording is also amazing. It's definitely lunchtime now, so I hope I haven't kept you from your lunch. But
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for anyone who's after hearing the whole album, it's Casta Diva with Matilda Lloyd and the Britten Sinfonia. It's a selection of operatic aria arrangements and variations for trumpet and ensemble, and it's out tomorrow, which for viewers in the future is April the 28th, on Chandos Records.
Thank you so much.